Matt Engel, director of the Lone Star Project, a Democratic Research and Communications PAC. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Well, hi, Jack. I'm happy to help you.
So we want to find out what your thoughts are about the Dallas County Democratic Party and the chair specifically going to Dallas City Council and calling on Mayor Eric Johnson to resign after he announced on Friday that he would be becoming a Republican. There's also a online petition for people to sign calling on him to resign. So what do you make of all this?
Well, I think it's an example of Democrats holding Democrats accountable and holding their leaders accountable. You don't see enough of that. And on the Republican side, they restore criminal AGs to their office, and it looks like they're going to nominate a criminal again for president. And so I think this is an example of Democrats doing the right thing. Anytime that you're getting a congratulations from Newt Gingrich and Ken Paxton and Dan Patrick, you know you've done the wrong thing. And so Eric Johnson clearly did the wrong thing for his city. And I think it was right for Democratic leaders to call him out and call him that he be accountable and step down from office.
Why do you believe he should resign? I know that Democrats have called this a betrayal. Why is that?
Well, it is a betrayal. It's not necessarily betrayal of Democrats. It's betrayal of the citizens of Dallas. It's clear that he timed this until after the mayor's race, when he had been identified as a Democrat his entire career, and waited until he was back in office, knowing that had he declared as a Republican before the last election, he probably wouldn't have gotten elected to mayor, and he certainly would have had vigorous opposition. And so I think it was a weak move, a sketchy move, particularly that he announced it in the Wall Street Journal. Stockbrokers in New York knew about his betrayal before families in Dallas did.
I wanted to ask you about the mayor issuing a statement. This was the statement that he released to the media today, Wednesday, as we were talking. He said, quote, "The future of America's great urban centers depends on the willingness of the nation's mayors to champion law and order and practice fiscal conservatism. Our cities desperately need the genuine commitment to these principles that has long been a defining characteristic of the GOP." What's your thought of that?
Well, my guess is he got that email to him from Greg Abbott's office. I mean, the truth of the matter is that Dallas is not just a Democratic city. In fact, Dallas has rejected Texas Republican leaders by a higher margin than it is Democratic. Greg Abbott and John Cornyn and Ken Paxton all got less than 35% support in the city of Dallas. Donald Trump got less than 30% support in the city of Dallas. Dallas is not that Democratic. That means that there are a lot of independents and fair-minded Republicans that are rejecting state leadership too. For Eric Johnson to join that team, he clearly is betraying Dallas and abandoning the type of leadership that it wants.
Do you think he will resign? And if he doesn't, what impact do you think that this would have on around the horseshoe in the city government, city council? And I mean, keep in mind, obviously, this is still a nonpartisan office.
Oh, I doubt that he'll resign. I don't think he has the courage to resign, frankly. I think he will be badly weakened. Dallas, by definition, has a weak mayor system. Well, I think that Eric Johnson has now applied that description to his character. That, it hasn't been that long ago, but people have been around a while might remember Phil Gramm, who had been a Democrat and he switched to a Republican, but he had the courage and he had the character to resign from office and then run as in a special election, and he got himself reelected as a Republican. I didn't agree with Phil Gramm on a lot of things, but I always thought that was really a show of strength. I don't think Eric Johnson is strong enough to resign his seat and then seek reelection again when people know that he's betrayed them to become a Republican.
What political opportunities do you see for him going forward in the Republican Party?
Very few, most likely. I think they would be appointed type of things. The track record for people of color being nominated to high office in the Republican Party in Texas is very bad. Look at Ava Guzman. Even George P. Bush only won election to the land commissioner's office after the Republicans cleared the field for him. in the primary. When he was in a contested primary against an Anglo-Republican, he lost. Texas Republicans have a record of hostility against people of color. And so I think if there's a future for Eric Johnson in the Republican Party, it's probably some appointed position, or they might find him a high-paying job in some corporate law firm.
So in the end, and you haven't spoken to him, I haven't interviewed him just yet, but in the end, why do this then? If there's no, elected office, in your opinion,
Well,
for
I'm
him?
not sure that he's seeking elected office. I think that he's looking for a soft landing, and I think he has really alienated a lot of Democrats over the last several years. He would have had a hard time winning a Democratic nomination in a statewide office. For Democrats who've been paying attention in Dallas, they weren't surprised at all that he switched parties. I was a little surprised by the timing. I think it was probably calculated by Republicans who wanted to do something in the aftermath of them having restored Ken Paxton to office and knowing how much damage that did to them among a lot of mainstream Republicans. I think they wanted to talk Eric into doing it now, so that was a signal to some mainstream Republicans that their party wasn't so bad, wasn't so extreme. So my guess is that this is really something that's being done to advance Republican goals, not anything that's really going to help Eric Johnson. I think he's really been kind of gamed in this thing by the Republicans who have been really working him for the last couple of years.
Matt Engel, director of the Lone Star Project, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jack.